Martin, if we just start with last night then. You just mentioned it there, but how great was it to be back on a European night with a performance that, Celtic should be proud of?
Yeah, it was like a throwback for me to those days when, when you had some players who were brilliant footballers at your disposal. It was great. But I think obviously winning was the most important thing, which I've always said to you. The performance was magnificent, really, and the fight back as well, to go behind after 11 minutes when perhaps we had a chance and it would have been onside well, doesn't really matter. We didn't get the goal, and to find ourselves behind in the match and go and perform in the manner in which we did. So easy to think about Michelin, where the game had, was gone within 3 minutes, and so the fight back, all of those particular things, and I think it was in the manner in which we played, it was probably as pleasing as the result.
You've always said this is an interim basis. You said that when you first arrived. In that time you've been here, how different of a squad are you leaving than when you arrived? Did you get that sense that?
Well, you're always you have to be careful, I think, about what you say. First of all, I inherited some really good players for a start, who've been serial winners here at the football club. For a start, I just think naturally that when you lose a few matches, your confidence dips. No matter who you are, your confidence will dip a little bit. So I think, I know I've said this before, but it's worth repeating, just restoration of confidence, and maybe giving people a chance that have done very, very well in that period of time. And when I go, there might be one or two who have not had that opportunity here, who might well prosper under the new manager, and that will be absolutely fine by me. Balakuisa, for instance, hasn't had a real chance at this minute, but he could. And I said this in the dressing room. Some of the players who have come in have done amazingly well, and yet some of the players who have not played might actually surpass them, which that's a nice thing to have, if the new manager. And Colby coming in, for instance, he didn't not so clever at Hearts, was probably a euphemism for not being very good at all, and recovered. And I thought he was brilliant last night, really, really brilliant. So, and do you know what? They are really not only the good lads, they are actually responsive. I hate to say that phrase, good lads. It doesn't matter whether you're a good lad or not if you can play. But he was up against a winger who has made inroads into European football, and I thought he did remarkably well. He's come in there and he got a stamp on his foot. I thought he had cramp, which would not have surprised me because he not having played for some weeks. But no, it was a stamp on his left foot, which was quite nasty, really. But I'm hoping that he's going to be okay. But he did really well.
Just on the weekend, then, is this it, as they say, as the saying goes? Is this I'm sure you are absolutely bored asking that question, and I'm equally as bored answering it. But I think there's movement ahead, and I think that. With a fair win, that something should be happening at the beginning of next week. Have you spoken to the board about that, even after last night's game or whatnot?
I spoke to a couple of the board members who were saying that things are definitely progressing at the other end.
No, I'm just going to say, is there a sadness to this? I know it was always going to be interim, but
regardless of the result on Sunday, if you ask me that question on Sunday, I will be in a better position to. I'm not. Listen, I'm a real romantic at heart, believe it or not. I am. I love football like you wouldn't believe, and even when I wasn't involved in it, you're still watching football matches, and sometimes I used to think to myself, what am I watching these games for? Why? But remarkably, I only watch the football games never from a managerial viewpoint, although sometimes that came into it, but really just as a spectator, just enjoying the game. And I would have come away from some matches, and if somebody had said to me, "Oh, by the way, did you know that that Tottenham were playing like 3-4-3, I probably wouldn't have known, because I wasn't looking at it like that. I was just enjoying it. But when I was doing a little bit of punditry work, of course, then you have to think about it a little bit more, and those sort of things. So you did. So the point I'm trying to make is this here: I've got some young coaches who have been terrific for me, absolutely, 3 of which I manage, and there they are, trying to tell me the game. It's incredible. Oh, hold on, just settle down, lads. I've actually been in this game before, but so. Yeah, they've been great for me, really great. All the backroom staff have been, and so wonderful for me. And I'm actually picking up things myself. So the overall picture is that, please ask me on a Sunday evening about it. And I have honestly enjoyed it.
What have you enjoyed most about it?
The winning of the football matches, the winning of the game, that'll never change. Yeah, it is. And I think that, during that time, if you'd, just to be whisked into it to begin with, and meeting the team for the first time on a Wednesday morning before we opened up in our first game against Falkirk, and then a couple of days later to beating Rangers, then it wasn't an eye-opener for me. It certainly wasn't the Michelin game, It was to tell you how difficult European football is, and what you have to try and do to achieve that. And I thought we probably didn't have a great deal of energy after the big effort against Rangers. But yeah, so maybe beating Rangers as well too. That always helps. Always helps.
You mentioned, I think last night you said two of your brothers were there.
I joked at that they weren't, and that was the quickest thing I could think about. I could, so I didn't know. They'll be on the phone saying, I wasn't at that game at all. No, so sorry. I was trying to draw a comparison by somebody at the back shouting, pretending I had put them in there to the back of the stand. So the easiest thing I could think about, two brothers, they'll be on the phone. I wasn't there. I wasn't at the game. So sorry, that was, all right.
But you mentioned, obviously you come in, it's regardless of how long you're here for, and it's interim, do you still feel that pressure? There's still a sense of relief whenever you get that?
Oh, absolutely. No doubt at all about it. At 2-1 in the game, and this will go. Seriously, if you ask any manager, that I don't care who they are, unless you are winning a game like out of the park, it's 2-1 in a match, and while we're playing really well, there's anything can still happen in that game. Even at 3-1, you're still thinking, hold on, we just wrap this game up now, But moments to enjoy. Yeah, when the fourth official put up the 4 minutes, and I thought, well, we should make it now, But great to win. But I know I shouldn't downplay the performance. I thought we were really, really brilliant, and it was as good as we've played in my time here.
In terms of what happens to you next for you, I know you were having a cup of coffee and doing some punditry when you got the call. Is this
not at the same time?
Is this,
or perhaps it was?
Given how well it's gone, is there a part of you that thinks, I want to keep my
Well, it's a very good question, because during my time when I wasn't managing, I always thought I could manage. And then I saw some teams and I thought I could do equally as badly as somebody else, So from that viewpoint. But yeah, the appetite is, honestly, it's always there. And in my last days on earth, I'll still be thinking, yeah, that's okay, I'll be able to do that. So, but this has been an opportunity given to me, and a man handed it to me who handed me the opportunity 25 years ago to manage this football club, and I have no doubt that I would have been dubious about if someone else had asked me to do this here on an interim basis, some other football club at the time. But the call to manage Celtic again, well, it was really, really too great. I thought, I'm going to do this, and I wanted. So I had to mentally get myself prepared for it, really, even in that short period of time. It just wasn't a case of just rocking up and thinking you're just going to pull a result from somewhere. You need players to respond to you. And some of the players that I would have no idea who I am, So that all of that there, it's come together, which has been really nice.
The fans, Martin, you've obviously guided Celtic to a cup final. You've sort of restored the confidence in the league and whatnot. When it comes to the cup final, are you going to attend? Would you like to be there? Would you like to be there at the end of the season if there was any celebrations as well?
Well, okay, I'd certainly. I will not be joining on the pitch in the celebrations, but
exactly.
But I would like to be there at the game, absolutely. So, and I'm hoping that they will be able to get me a ticket without me paying for that one, So, that would be nice, I must admit. Yeah, it would be nice to be at the game, I mean, I've played some part in getting them there. Well, I'm taking credit here for something that all my staff should do.
There's a lot going on at the club at the moment, obviously, both on the pitch and off it. I just wondered, if you do this as your last game, what's your message to the Celtic fans for what's going to happen going forward?
Well, that's a good point. I think that I'd like having been brought into the AGM, I would like now, in retrospect, for questions to be asked in a manner which would have made the board answer, if that was the case, and whether that would have given the answers on that particular day, I don't know. I don't know enough. Well, all I do know is that Celtic. I mean, you're fighting through some of this at this stage, and as Celtic United would be far better club than one disunited. And that's obvious for anyone, but this particular club, and it's not really what Celtic is about. It's not what Brother Walford brought in a way back, and it's certainly not what Jock Stein did. And Jock Stein would have been the first one to say, sorry, boys, we've got to get this together. We've got to be unified. We've got to be on one boat. What I think will happen is that Celtic will come back. They will compete properly in Europe. That's my strong belief. We've all made mistakes and things like this here, so and that should be the aim, I think, for this football club, is that yes, domestically we've been very, very strong, but you want to be strong in European football, because that's what was set in 1967, and that, I'm afraid, is what it's all about. So we have to be that. Are we at this minute? No, we're not. Michelin taught us a lesson, but it was nice last night to restore some of that, and that might be a sign. It doesn't mean that we're going to take all the points, but qualification would be nice to get through into the knockout stages. That would be lovely, and it would be a start. But mark my words, Celtic will be back to properly involved in European football.
Just finally from me, how would you like to be remembered from the Celtic fans and within the Celtic family?
Do you know that when people talked about legacy, and I mean this, it doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't matter. I didn't want to come up here and make a mess of it, which my wife thought I would do. I didn't really want to do that, but other than that, no, honestly, it really doesn't bother me about a legacy. I know I said this to you one day before. If you're talking about legacy, talk about Jock Stein. The rest of us are followers.
Within the fan base, you are, in some eyes, the next straight after Jock.
That's probably right. Leave it.
It must be nice to be held in the regard.
Do you know what? Of course it is. And a lot of that, I think, stems from Seville and things like this here. But I think changing the course, or helping change the course of Rangers' dominance away back. So from 2001, 2001 coming in, because that was a brilliant Rangers side. And I've often said this before, for Celtic to be strong and stay strong, even domestically, you have to have a strong Rangers side as well. And that hasn't been happening for some time. It looks as if it could turn now, I hope it doesn't turn this season, but overall, that is definite. I think we all know that,
Did you manage to get hold of your wife last night to talk about the win that you?
No, I did actually, and she hadn't heard about it at that time, but she'd heard about it this morning, so she's not very pleased, not very. I didn't say that at all, she said. I said, I'm afraid you did. She said, no, she didn't, and now she's adamant that she didn't say it. She did.
It's been a pleasure.
He's finally Martin, any team news? Any issues from last night?
Well, Colby got a stud in his foot, which looked quite nasty. It's his left foot. I thought he had taken cramp, but no. But by the time he came off, and it was bleeding, and didn't look great. But I think he'll just push it off, say he wants to play, which is lovely, But it is definitely getting better this morning. And Sirachi's he's one of the little man. He wants to be fit all the time, So he's available for Sunday, which is great, and the rest is as is, I think,